I wiped the grease off my hands and looked at the old Rolls Royce sitting in my driveway. 10 months of work, hundreds of hours spent rebuilding every inch of that car. And today, it finally came to life. The engine purred like it was whispering thank you. I smiled, leaning back against the hood. My father used to say, "You don't own history, you preserve it." That's exactly what I did. But the peace didn't last long. A sharp voice cut through the air. "Excuse me, what is that doing here?" Keren. I turned and saw her. Keren, the self-proclaimed queen of our neighborhood HOA. Sunglasses bigger than her patience, clipboard in hand, and that usual look like everyone owed her something. "It's my car," I said, still calm. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Your car? This is a luxury vehicle, and according to HOA policy, no one is allowed to store non-operational vehicles outside. It's unsightly." I chuckled softly. "Unsightly? Ma'am, this car's older than the HOA itself. It's a classic." She took a few steps closer, circling it like a hawk. "Oh, I know what it is. My father used to have one. This model belongs to the community collection near the clubhouse. So technically," she smiled, "it's HOA property." I blinked. "Come again?" She crossed her arms. "If it's unregistered or abandoned, it defaults to community possession. You should have reported it before restoring it." I laughed under my breath. "Reported it? Keren, I bought this car legally. I have the bill of sale, title, and every piece of paper you can imagine." She didn't even flinch. "Well, I haven't seen any proof, and until I do, this vehicle's under HOA hold. I'll be sending an inspector tomorrow morning." She turned away, heels clicking like gunshots on the pavement. "Don't move it. Don't touch it, or there will be consequences." I watched her walk off, that same smug smile on her face. But what she didn't know was that I had something more powerful than paperwork, something that would make her regret ever stepping on my property line. I glanced at the gleaming hood and muttered quietly, "You picked the wrong car, Keren." The next morning, I stepped outside with a cup of coffee, and there she was, Keren, standing by my driveway with 2 men in reflective vests. One of them was holding a clipboard. The other had a tow truck idling behind them. She didn't even look at me when she said, "We're here to remove the vehicle, sir. It's under HOA repossession." I almost choked on my coffee. "Repossession? You've got to be kidding me." Keren finally turned, smiling like she'd already won. "You were warned. You had 24 hours to provide documentation, and you didn't." I looked at my watch. "It's been 15. She shrugged. "HOA policies move faster than you think." The man with the clipboard stepped forward. "Ma'am said this car belongs to the HOA historical lot. We have orders to tow it." I stared at Keren, my patience thinning. "You forged an order?" She smirked. "Don't make it sound so ugly. I authorized it." My jaw tightened. "You can't authorize theft." Her smile grew wider. "You can call it what you want. The board already approved." I glanced around. A few neighbors were peeking through their curtains, whispering. She loved an audience. She wanted a scene. I took a deep breath and set my coffee on the hood. "Before you hook that car up," I said calmly, "check the VIN number." Keren frowned. "What for?" I grinned slightly. "Because that number will lead you straight to me, and to the federal restoration permit attached to it." The man with the clipboard hesitated. "Federal permit?" "Yep," I said, "issued under the Classic Vehicle Protection Act." "That means this car is registered as a national restoration project. Tampering with it counts as federal interference." The color drained from Keren's face. "That's not possible. You're bluffing." I pulled a small laminated document from my pocket and handed it to the man. He read it slowly, eyes widening. "Ma'am, he's not bluffing. This is legit. We can't touch it." Karen snatched the paper, scanning it desperately. This could be fake." I smiled. "Sure, call the county registry. They'll confirm it." She hesitated, her fake confidence starting to crack. The tow truck driver sighed, muttering, "I'm not getting arrested over some HOA drama," and began backing his truck away. Karen turned red. "You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone?" I stepped closer. "No, Karen, you're doing a fine job of that yourself." Her lips pressed tight. "This isn't over," she hissed. "You'll see what real power looks like." I watched her storm off, the sound of her heels fading. I didn't say anything, but deep down I knew she wasn't bluffing either. Whatever she was planning next, she'd make it personal. That evening, I was still polishing the rolls when I heard tires screech outside. Karen's SUV stopped right across the street, and she got out fast, this time with 2 real police officers behind her. She looked way too confident, her hair perfect, her smile sharp as glass. "Evening," one of the officers said, walking up. "We got a call about a stolen vehicle being stored here." I blinked. "A what?" Karen folded her arms. "That's the car, officer. Rolls Royce Silver Cloud, reported stolen from the HOA's private exhibit garage last year. I told you he'd try to lie his way out of it." I laughed under my breath. "You're unbelievable." The officer glanced at me. "Sir, do you have proof this vehicle is yours?" "Inside," I said calmly. "Registration, title, restoration documents, all in my office." Karen cut in, her voice rising. "Don't let him go anywhere. He'll hide the evidence." The officer turned to her. "Ma'am, please step back." She rolled her eyes dramatically, but did as told. The second officer followed me into the house. I handed him the thick folder of papers, every document carefully filed. He went through them one by one, nodding slightly. Then Karen barged halfway in through the door. "Check the VIN number. He probably swapped it." The officer raised a hand. "Ma'am, that's enough. We'll handle this." She fumed silently, while I opened the garage door and pointed to the metal plate near the engine. "Same VIN, same papers. I've got video logs from the restoration process too." Her face fell for a second, but then she smiled again, almost sinister. "Nice forgery." The officer's voice grew firm. "Ma'am, accusations like that without evidence can be considered harassment." Karen's tone flipped instantly. "I'm just trying to protect community property. Isn't that my right?" He sighed, looking between us. "The paperwork checks out, but we'll keep a copy for record. For now, the vehicle stays where it is." Karen's smile vanished. "What? You're letting him keep it? This is insane." The officer looked tired. "Ma'am, if you have further issues, take it up with the county. This isn't an HOA matter anymore." She glared at me, eyes filled with quiet rage. "You think you're clever. But I know people in the county office. Enjoy your car while you can." I didn't reply. I just watched her drive off again, taillights fading into the night. But something about the way she said it didn't sit right with me. The next morning, when I stepped outside, my stomach dropped, because the Rolls Royce was gone. The driveway was empty, tire marks fresh, and nailed to my fence was a bright red HOA notice that said, "Vehicle impounded under community ordinance. Property of HOA pending verification." I stood there in silence, the paper fluttering in the wind. For a long time, I didn't move. Then, very slowly, I smiled. She just made her biggest mistake. I drove straight to the HOA office that morning, the red notice still in my hand. The building looked harmless from the outside. Fresh paint, glass doors, an American flag waving out front. But inside, it felt like a courtroom run by people who liked playing God. Keren was already there, sitting at the head of a long table with that same smug look. "Well, look who finally decided to show up," she said, pretending to sound polite. I dropped the paper in front of her. "Where's my car?" She leaned back in her chair. "In safe custody. The HOA decided to hold it until ownership is verified." "You could have avoided all this if you just cooperated." I laughed. "You mean if I just handed it over?" Her voice hardened. "You're being ungrateful. We're protecting the neighborhood from fraud." "Fraud?" I said slowly. "You mean the one you're committing right now?" Her smile didn't move. "You're making serious accusations, mister." She glanced at the papers on her desk. "Oh, right. The mechanic with no permanent job and a lot of big stories." The board members chuckled softly. She wanted to humiliate me. I stayed calm. "You know what's funny, Karen? You're accusing me of fraud for owning a car that you can't even prove belongs to your HOA. And yet, you had it towed without a warrant." Her grin faded a little. "We have the right to tow abandoned vehicles." "Abandoned?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "It was parked in my driveway, on my property, with my plates." Just for a second, that small flicker of doubt told me she knew she'd crossed a line. "Tell you what," I said quietly, "how about we both stop talking and let the county records speak for themselves?" Her confidence returned too quickly. "Oh, I already talked to the county," she said proudly. "And guess what? The record of your vehicle registration? Gone. Must be a system error." For a moment, I froze. She smiled wider, watching my reaction. "Looks like your proof doesn't exist anymore." I stared at her in disbelief. "You actually paid someone to delete it?" "Proof, please," she said sweetly. "Without it, the HOA board has every right to impound what we believe is stolen property." The room went quiet. My hands curled into fists, but I didn't lose my calm. I just gave a slow nod and said, "Fine. Keep it." Her eyebrows rose. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," I said, turning toward the door. "Keep it for now." I stopped halfway and looked over my shoulder. "But when I come back, I'm bringing someone you can't bribe, threaten, or lie to." She smirked. "Oh, and who's that supposed to be?" I smiled. "The man who trained me." Then I walked out without another word. She laughed behind me. But that laugh didn't last long. Because what she didn't know was, my father wasn't just a mechanic. He was a retired federal investigator. And I'd already sent him every bit of footage I had.